a wife, a teacher, cultural worker, and a voice. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker this evening, Dr. Gabriella Gutiérrez. Muhs.
Thank you, Dr. Friday. That was actually better than getting the Poet Laureate. I am so happy to be here. I came here 5 years ago to give a talk on spirituality and Chicana literature when Yolanda Flores Niemann was the chair of your ethnic studies department. And I so enjoyed being here. And my husband right now, I was telling him how sorry I am for my students because they don't have a banquet like this one at Seattle University. And they don't have role models like you to look up to. There's very few Latinos there. I would like to begin my reading with the poem that opens my book, Communal Feminisms, which is a book of interviews of Chilenas and Chicanas, and it also has a theoretic introduction. And the first poem is a Chicana. Are you still in exile? If you can of your exile, or name the country you came at, the one you would return to? You wish to visit is your only country? Are you in exile if the sadness of living a life of identities that dangle in front of others tires you beyond recognition of your whale-like depth? Hasta las ballenas regresan al último parto. Even whales return to their last birthing. I will be signing, this is my little spiel, I will be signing books afterwards if you're interested in any of my books. I also gave a name to my talk which I wanted to share with you, and the name is Allies, Nuestro Pequeño Mundo de Grandes Personas. The only thing many of you will remember in this talk is that I know our current president, Barry to me, Barack Obama to you. I went to college with him at Occidental College, and I must say his latest decisions have deeply disappointed me. But nonetheless, let this serve as an example of how small the world is, and how unlikely it would be in most countries in the world that the daughter of immigrant farm workers, cannery workers, factory workers, who themselves grew up in dire poverty in their own native countries, would have gone to college with the president of the most important country in the free world. These are the times we are living in, and these are the things that we need to prepare for as global citizens of the world. I would like to focus my talk on becoming allies to those you meet along your path. I asked Rafael to please put some cards on your table, and I will not be reading Allies a recipe for you because it has been requested that but I did want to give you that, and I will be taking questions afterwards and would be very happy to answer anything that might not be clear for you as to why I say that. So I think that for me it's always been a challenge to not always try to be only around those that I agree with and those that like to eat chicharrones con chile verde, but the other people that don't like meat even. We are here today celebrating and honoring the life of one of the leaders of our community, Gabriella, who at 27 years old, when he passed away, was already able to mark our lives with his wisdom and greatness, a greatness many will not achieve with 3 times as many years to live. We are here because we celebrate who who we are in him. His ability to support all his students, colleagues, and faculty. He worked on identity in his academic work because he understood the importance of self-identification, family, and community, the greater Chicano community. In the 60s and 70s, we were greatly concerned with other issues: bilingual education, living conditions, housing, better wages, open discrimination against those in our communities. While some of these issues are still pertinent and necessary for our struggle, like racial profiling, gang violence, and women's rights and gender issues, these are not our major struggles. And I don't deny, that women are still paid 70 cents, earn 70 cents to $1 of what men earn in wages in this new millennium. So we do need to work on that. And I will be telling you mostly today some stories. But I do believe that one of our major struggles comes from our society's homophobia. And what happens as a result. This homophobia trickles down to us. And we end up with a lot of pain in our communities because, as Paulo Freire, Brazilian theorist, taught us, the oppressed oppress. Tonight I want to tell you a few stories, to give you a few of my poems, to answer a few questions, and to share some of my experiences and analysis of Chicano Latino life and culture with you. I also want to reiterate a few pieces of advice that might help you with our struggle. I want to thank Rafael Bruneda profusely for his hard work organizing this event and all of the students involved. I know I can tell this is so elegant and beautiful, and it took a lot of work from all of you. I also want to thank Gabriella Cardenas's family and his sister Patricia, whom I know and met, and of course his daughter Alma. I thank each of you being present, something that is particularly of import to all of us, but something that also may be painful to Gabriel's family. I wanted to talk today about two people that I dearly love that are no longer with us. One of them is Don Luis Leal, who was at University of Santa Barbara and who was a renowned Chicano critic. He's one of the pillars of Chicano literature and one of my dissertation advisors at Stanford. He died last month at the age of 103. And some of the advice and the wisdom that I gained, that I tried to share with you in a recipe, Allies, a recipe, comes from him, from what I learned from him. It's a compilation of his teachings to me and some of his other students. I trust his wisdom of 100 years much more than I trust my own. And although I will be talking about several of my cousins who passed away, the other person I wanted to talk to you about is my cousin Joseph, who died in San Francisco at the height of the AIDS crisis. He died in 1985. And so I will read 2 or 3 poems, Silence, and several other poems that I wrote back then and that I've never read in public. Chicanos have always been at the forefront of social justice, and we have always fought against injustice and in solidarity with the needs of all those in our community. We now need to pull out our best armor to support our young gay Latinos, to include other Latinos and Latin Americans into our group. And I think this is one of my major goals in life. And I quoted, to close my speech part, just to have some people understand that may not know us. I know that most people in here are Chicanos, but I want to underline that Chicano is not an accessory. Our political stance which establishes our Aztlán, our mythic homeland, is weaved into our ethnicity and our culture, and has been so for so many years. And so it is not an accessory, it is not something that we take out and put on, it is something we do all the time. And this is an excerpt of one of my poems where I'm expressing this. I am not the vase your flowers dried in. I am not the palpitating moment of your fear. I am the bridge, the hammock, the bird feeder that feeds humans, the net, the lawn in which to lie down. I am the other side of your heart. Our best armor is our love, our solidarity, our cariño, our food, our inclusivity, our fiestas like today's, our respect, our forgiveness. We would not be so successful after more than 500 years of colonization if not for our ability to forgive, to take the high road, to love indiscriminately. Be, as my mother would say, fresh as a lettuce in our own plight for social justice, in our version of el movimiento, the current movimiento, el Chicano movimiento. So I will read you a few pieces. I want to begin with, I was looking through all my poetry, and I was thinking of the poems that inspired me, that made me think of Gabriella. And I have two of them, very short. I also wanted to dedicate these to his wife and his daughter. This is called Fractions. A third of one life is almost half of another. The best of my life is almost all the hope, mystery, tears, laughter, and happiness with you. A third of your life is almost all of mine. The second one is called Los Hombres de Tierra, and they are both in my book, Most Improbable Life. And this one I wrote for Octavio Villalpando, who is a professor in Utah. And I wrote it when he was solidarious with Cecilia Burciaga, who took on the plight of many examples of discrimination that happened at a university in California. And he resigned to his post in solidarity with her and with the fact that there was no Latino faculty teaching, that they would only hire adjunct people of color. And so I wrote this, and it's called Los Hombres de Tierra. Men of earth are mushrooms. They cure winds, they pass over them and softly touch what ugly touches them. They only speak in words that ring like bells, few words that carry sound beyond their quick horizons. Men of earth clean worlds with their presence and go on to titillate the world with their hearts. Men of earth remunerate others with their souls like spring water. They mantra spirits with their silence and sterilize auras with their absence. Men of earth among us give kisses to the universe in written words, shake hands with east and west as forgotten Gandhis in our closets, traverse dishonesty and open doors to other men of earth. And so I want to read you some poems that I've never read in public, like Silence. And I wrote this when my cousin Joseph died. And there was so much silence around his death of AIDS in 1985. And he was not the only one. I grew up between Mexico and the United States as a migrant child. And at this time we were living in the Central Coast in California. And we're very close to San Francisco and in the Bay Area. There were many Josephs. And I wrote this because I was very angry at this silence. You silence me and I silence people before they speak with one look at the nice house I'll someday own. If I silence myself with the smile that my mother dreams me as a LULAC member, married in silk. with a blue-eyed John Wayne-ish Pedro Infante, who can keep me at home with his shiny guns, silencing my children to homosexuality. And this is a poem I have never read. I don't know if I can get through it, but I hope you'll help me. This is called Amnesia, or My Four Gay Cousins Resurrect. If amnesia had a height, it would be Mexican. Its length would be Mexican. I cannot plot a feeling for today. The envelope is still not licked. The genie inside the ink won't spill the candor of the tyrant. The letter will never arrive. It is made up of sorrow, erased by homophobia, buried in family shame. I cannot burp his illness from my head because we lost too much to forget. I am an underground turtle on the Twin Towers 2 minutes before the kamikaze fate implodes. I cannot yell because I think I have already resurrected. I sit to write a poem and Google Yahoo to others with forgetfulness. The cybernetic poem never reaches the image. I am caught on the 3 strings of memory, where other resurrected swords take the vitamin of luck. Manuel in Mexico was a teacher. He had 3 kids with his upper-class wife. He never told, died young. Everybody wondered. Shame can be a mental disease. Mark committed suicide with a gun because he was homophobic and his brothers were gay. Shame has a way of holding a gun. Miguel ate himself to death. Cab driving in Chicago, it took 5 firemen to take him out of his small apartment. They turned off the fire of his life. Shame has a way of eating you alive. 400 pounds of shame. Joseph died in San Francisco, mid-80s of AIDS. He kept saying to my aunt, I have to tell you something, but he didn't. Shame has a way of killing you because you don't love yourself enough. Because we've never lost, because we've lost too much to forget, we remember. I'm sorry, that was really hard to read. I want to make you laugh now. And someone requested, son lágrimas y risas. ¿Sí? I wrote this piece and it's part of my novel that I hope will be published. It's being reviewed by the University of Arizona Press. And I wrote this piece. It's a little part of it. And I wrote it because I'm always amazed at all the stereotypes that we have about our own people. You know, Chicanos are like this, Gringos are like that. And I was dealing with that when I married my husband, who's now my husband of 20 years, Eric, who's recording me. Don't tell him you're going to give a talk because he always does that. He comes and records me. Eric Muhs in the back, who could give him a hand. He also drove for me today. I was a diva, just enjoying the sun on the way over here. I love being a diva. And I could be that because he said, oh no, you'd be too tired to get there and give this talk. And I would have been too tired to give love. This is called A Real Mexican Man, this chapter. We always joked about this when we were on our honeymoon. Eric had taken me to some hot springs without telling me that they were nude hot springs. So there I was. I either wore my black one-piece suit that looked enormous in front of all that nudity, or I went nude. There I was, ridiculous once again in my life, not wearing what I was supposed to wear, like a snake that all of a sudden changed skin at the wrong season. I was startled and I was upset because he had not told me what to expect. I had seen him as my translator, my interpreter, the way I'd been his faithful interpreter in France, in Mexico, in California. And he did not produce. But the difference that was most obvious to me at the moment was that a real Mexican man would have never taken his Mexican newlywed to some nudist hot tubs for everybody to stare at, and for her to stare at all those other male bodies. So I yelled at him the most hurtful thing I could say at the time. "You are not a real Mexican man." He just stared at me. What defense could he have against that? How could he answer? Hadn't I noticed yet that he was not Mexican? In my mind, he was Mexican though, because everything I loved was Mexican. He had to be Mexican, and so I had made him Mexican without his permission. I did other things without his permission. I also donated his sperm without asking him. My friend Sarah, a lesbian in a relationship, trying hard to have a baby, was telling me that they were charging her $600 every month for inseminations, and I just blurted out, "Why are you doing that? We have so much sperm at home." "How can you be paying for that? I'll give it to you for free." Well-mannered that she is, she just looked at me and said, "Maybe you'd like to ask Eric about that." "Oh no, I'm sure he won't mind." I got home and told Eric that this poor woman was paying so much money, and how were we to allow that? And couldn't we just give her a little bit of sperm every once in a while? It wouldn't hurt us really. But the storm arrived without notice. "What? You gave away my sperm without telling me? How would you like if I donated your eggs to a woman friend who doesn't have any?" "Well, I would actually love that. If she were wonderful like Sarah. It would be great for me to be able to have her save some money that she'll need for the baby. You can donate my eggs anytime you like. I'm not an individualist, selfish, ego-centered male." "What, you think you're the only one in the world who has sperm? Why, it flows through laundry water every day." I know any real Mexican man would love to give his sperm away and know that it's being useful and not just for dirtying sheets and underwear. I'm not thinking emotionally or morally here, but legally, you're thinking with your sperm. Stealing is also taking something that you could give to someone away from them. The donation never occurred. Sarah never asked. She knew. I didn't mention the pain of knowing there are many rivets of culture that look alike from afar but screw on differently and with subtle permanence that we are not aware of when we choose to love someone from another culture. It's okay, you don't have to clap. I have a couple of other poems that I'd like to read. I think that the crowd speaks Spanish, right? like to read a couple of poems in español. And I don't know if I've used up my time, Rafael. No? I'm okay, I'm good? Okay. This is one of the poems I wrote to my father. It's called El Invisible. Pudo ser Santo Claus en mayo, agua de riego en verano. Pasó inapercibido como un hippie en los 70s o un loco sin casa. Fue cocinero de Paul Newman, lavaplatos de Clint Eastwood, le limpió la caca a Mr. Jacuzzi. Sería famoso si contáramos todas las manzanas que piscó y los carros que lo dejaron a media carretera o la cantidad de pork chops que se comió. Pero ni siquiera le permitieron ser ridículo o trabajador o pobre a mi padre en este país, ni tampoco invisible. And I want to read California. It's también en español, but it also appears in English in A Most Improbable Life. And it's in 6 parts, and what I see as California becoming. Parte primera. Ya no ama. Las córneas de sus ojos se doblan como sábanas, sudan como una sábana y como sábana lloran a la hora de la muerte. Parte 2. Racismo. Cama sin sábanas, ni siquiera un trapo, harapo o olor, ni siquiera una foto con sapos. No lo que haces en contra mía, sino lo que no logras hacer. No tuviste tiempo, no hiciste esa llamada por ella, no le contaste a aquel amigo sobre él, no tuviste tiempo, voluntad. 3. California, ni siquiera un fantasma, una muñeca o un rezo, ni la manzana del paraíso, ni la gallina de los huevos de oro, ni siquiera eso. Parte 4. Fresca como una lechuga sentada a dieta de Slim Fast, dejando que le pongan las uñas, se las rellenan en el salón de belleza mientras nos cortan nuestra primera lengua. Parte 5. Cirugía plástica, removiendo el tumor de la cultura, borrando la parte de nosotros que recordamos sin diccionario. Se sienta fresca como una lechuga, California. La mujer, hombre y niño, agujereándose el ombligo para su nuevo anillo de oro, fresca como una lechuga. Parte 6. La semana próxima su piel urbana tatuada con una imagen muda de una criada, como un buen sueño, oscura solo por fuera, grafiti únicamente por dentro, fresca como una lechuga. I could keep going all night. I will just close right now with the 12th Commandment by a Mexican woman. And this is probably the most anthologized poem of mine. I like to read it because it brings me good luck. Wrote it probably about 20 years ago, so you might have heard it. When people see me, they always think of food. I wish it were a picture or a paper or even a medal I reminded them of. But all of a sudden, my face turns into a big flour tortilla in their eyes, my arms the other tortilla that hugs itself to feed them, and my hands are asparagus and carrots, chiles and cilantro ristras. My butt, papas fritas con huevo. Smelling up the space with food thoughts, my stomach a molcajete, grinding and blending up the salsa and guacamole for them. The only flower blooming about me is a margarita. My feet, the wine, my toes, the grapes. And as a working, thinking, writing, loving, computing, emailing woman, I say, please don't eat me, I am not a taco. Titles of my poems come from my children, and I think my son was 8 years old when he said to me that love is a luxury, and we need that luxury. The other story I want to tell tonight, and hopefully I have a few more minutes, is about the things that really, really make me cry. I live in Seattle, and I went to, LA Fitness, and I was so happy because there was this beautiful Chicanita there. And of course I had brought everybody from LA initially, and they were the trainers, and there she was, just wonderful, brilliant. I almost fell, with all the training she was giving me, and I was trying to be fit. And at the end I said to her, she said, well, you'll have a different trainer next time. And I said to her, well, I really want to work with you. I've been looking for a Chicana, and I'm just so happy that you're here, and please, I hope you can take me. She said, well, I have to tell you something. You kept saying that all, and you kept referring to me as a Chicana, but I'm not a Chicana. I said, are you a Latina? Oh, no, I'm not a Latina. And everything I went down the line and said and asked her about. She said, I'm from LA, my parents are Mexican. I went to UC Riverside, and I'm very happy to be in Seattle because there are almost no Chicanos. I was, I'm not usually dumbfounded by anything, but I was blown away. But I wasn't angry at her because she was very sincere. Then she told me the story about how she'd been at UC Riverside and she had gone to classes and she didn't speak Spanish, and the Chicanos there had been horrible to her. That everybody had mistreated her, that people had been mean to her. And I was so unhappy. I went home crying, in my car after my training. And I wanted to share that story with you because, this internalized oppression is a result of alienation, exclusion, mistreatment, of our rejection by our own, of this disgust of our culture, this measures against bilingualism, this rejection of Spanish, this disdain for Mexicans from our own, means that we're not doing something. And so because I know that you're out there and you're going to be people, you're going to represent the less than 1% of the people in the world, with a BA. The people's population is less than 1% of them has a BA. You're going to have a BA, and you're going to be that 1%. I wanted to bring this to you, and maybe this is something we can talk about, because we failed her. We failed her. And when we don't include people, and when we measure their Chicano-ness, when we measure how little or how much better we are than them, we are excluding them. When we say people are not Chicanos because they're from Puerto Rico, we're excluding them. And I say, let's not be essentialists, Essentialism is a war that is lost, and has already lost a long time ago. Let's include people. If anybody comes to me and tells me that they're Chicano, and I'm currently theorizing the term cultural Chicana, because I welcome them. I welcome anybody who wants to be a Chicano, because we have a beautiful thing going. We are the experts on many things, on inclusion, on dealing with racism, on dealing with issues of social class. We are the experts on gratefulness. There's nobody more grateful than us. love is invincible. Thank you. Is it working? Can you hear me? Yeah, wonderful. Okay. I wanted to be down here. Answer questions or talk to you about any of the things I said that might have been provocative or not. And I hope that you read my allies, my love babies. So maybe he wants to come with me. No. I needed this because, of course, I always burn them. You know, I'm warming up tortillas and I burn them. But I wanted to just take a couple of minutes to answer any questions, to hear from you. Please, I'm right here. I want to know what you thought, what you felt. Yes.
How do you feel being Stanford being one of the only Latinos being in Stanford, how do you feel being in Stanford and just being you, the representative of Latinos? You know, like Stanford's not.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of people, but we were very close and very active, and we had Jose Antonio Burciaga, the artist, the painter, and his wife Cecilia Burciaga there for several years, and they created a community. But it's been lonely a lot of times. A lot of times, I'm the first one that did something, as I'm sure other people here, John and other people, other professors. This is the first generation of people, of Chicanos, that, you know, we have Chicano professionals that are our peers and our colleagues. But you know, what we have in the Chicano community, in this mythic Aztlan, is that because of the internet, I was never alone. I was never alone. If I was ever going through difficult times, which I went through a lot of difficult times, because of course, there's a lot of assumptions about Chicanos. There's a lot of assumptions that because we didn't have books growing up, you know, because we grew up in the fields, that we can never catch up. There's a lot of assumptions because we are probably one of the few groups that came here. Of course, we've been here since, you know, forever, 1848, but that did come here. We keep coming in, and we are working class, and we are working in the, you know, the worst paid jobs. So there's a lot of assumptions about who we are. I am currently another project that we didn't talk about before, and I don't think you know about, is that because of my struggle, and because I didn't see any books, I called people and I talked to them, and I had my Chicano internet community, which was wonderful. We had our brothers and sisters. I have brothers and sisters everywhere. And that is what is so invaluable about us. Other ethnic groups don't have that. But, you know, I'm also writing about these experiences. I'm writing about the experiences I'm editing a book called Presumed Incompetent, which is a book about the experiences of working class people and people, women of color in academia. And it's precisely because we are really the first generations that are going to the university in massive numbers, that are coming out as professionals, and you know, that are representing our communities. And there are still a lot of stereotypes about who we are and why we got there. There's still a lot of backlash from from affirmative action, which most schools unfortunately don't have anymore. You know, they always like to say, oh, you just got there because they had to have a Chicana at Stanford, right? The thing is that affirmative action opened doors for us, but if we were no good, they didn't allow us to stay in there. We had to get out. They didn't give us those degrees if we couldn't do the work that other people were doing. But we still have that backlash. Thank you. Other questions? Comments? Someone else?
You were saying at Seattle University there's the language or things like this. Are they trying, if there's any work or effort on trying to do something for Latino students there?
Of course there is. I'm the advisor for MECHA, and we do have invitations. Last year I had an endowed chair, so I was able to bring both Norma Cantú and Elena Maria Miramontes to campus, which are two of the top 5 Chicano authors. I do what I can. I mean, we do have activities, but basically there's one other tenured Latina, Janet Rodriguez, and myself, and that is the two of us that are there. So it's an entire university. We have our Chicano in fine arts. We have a lot of people that, because of the issues that I was mentioning, don't identify. We have a couple of, well, actually one senior faculty Chicano, but he doesn't identify really as a Chicano. You know, they don't walk around saying I'm Mexican American or Chicano or. I leave it up to people what they want to call themselves. It doesn't really matter to me. You can call me Latina, Chicana, Bocha, whatever you wish. It's fine. But none of those categories. People wanted to professionalize, and they wanted to basically be American, which is a little bit, I find, ridiculous because we're all American anyway. I was born here. I grew up in between Spanish because of my incredible mother. This is a very interesting story that I also should tell you. When my sister was in kindergarten, this is in the 60s, my oldest sister, she's 3 years older than I, she was the only other Chicanita in a kindergarten class in California in the Central Coast, and she was pinched and tortured by the other Chicana. This is before bilingual education. Because the other Chicana wanted to silence her because she was so embarrassed that she had to translate for her. So at the age of 6, these kids already have that shame. That's torture. So my mother, a working class woman, borrowed $32 from the only other woman she knew who worked, Nena. I still go see Nena. Every time I go to California to see my mother, I go visit Nena. Because Nena lent her $32. My mother left here in the place where we lived, which was a one-room studio, where there were actually, 5 men, my mother's 3 brothers, my father's brother, and my father, and the 3 of us, my sister, my mother, and I. And she said, when she saw this pain, when she saw that my sister was being beaten, that the teachers were doing nothing about it, that she was being embarrassed, that she was being silenced, my mother with no formal education, 3rd grade education, she said, I'm leaving. And she went to live in dire poverty in Mexico to sell whatever she could so that we would not be embarrassed of who we were. Very smart woman, incredible. My mother's alive I thank her for that all the time, because she did not allow us to be ashamed of who we were. Next time I came here, I was all ready. She then put us in school over there. She made sure we knew our Spanish. And she made sure that we had seen different kinds of people, which is what our children don't get to see. And I'm so proud of all of you here, because they will get to see more people that are their role models, and that's what our children need, right? They need to see Chicano doctors, they need to see Chicano poets, they need to see Chicano teachers and cooks and panaderos, and they need to see all of that. And so I always thank my mother for who I am and for the pride that she gave me, even though she really had nothing. She was very poor. Another question? Yes. I can hear you.
So the theme is gender and sexuality redefining traditions, and you read a poem about relatives of us different sexual orientation. I guess you as a professional, what would you recommend? Because we know also that stereotypically the Mexican community is homophobic, and it's not really something that's like it. What would you recommend to other professionals that they can do as well as community? Because the change cannot always come from those underrepresented, but those in the position of power.
I don't think we are more homophobic than the general population. And I can almost guarantee that, because I saw these men with full-blown AIDS coming back to my community. We won't talk about it, but we accept them, we take care of them. I think that's one of those myths, that we are more homophobic than the general population. On the other hand, this is why I'm here. And I thank the students, and I thank all of you for bringing these topics and putting them on the table, because we need to talk about these things. We need to get rid of that shame. We need to, everybody in this room probably has a relative who is gay. 12% of the world population is gay. And what used to happen before, like my cousin, like several of my cousins, is, and there's a lot of studies on this. I would be happy if you wanted literature on Mexican society research. What we used to do is we didn't talk about it and we hid it. And people disappeared. A lot of people disappeared. I cannot tell you the amount of people. I now think about my friends in high school. The Marta Sanchez, all these women that I suspected that they were gay. And I never heard from them again. They disappeared. And that's why I say, look at the silences and look at the people that disappeared. And they are there. I just talked to one of my comadres, one of my ex-students, when I was a high school counselor. She was my student. She's a teacher in California now and an artist. And she was telling me that they just found her uncle. Her uncle had been gone for 32 years. Why was he gone? Because he couldn't face telling his family that he was gay. So he left and he disappeared, and he went to live, not in the United States, but he went to live in another state in Mexico. And they just found him. This man was married and had several children, and his children were just able to meet him. So these are the kinds of stories that we have. And it's not that we have more gay people, it's not that we have more homophobia, it's just that we are not talking about these things. And this is why this is invaluable, to put these things on the table. And we can't afford not to. We can't afford the alternative. I thought, oh, I did something good. I didn't know how as a mother, you never know if you're raising your children right, and you know, you never know what's going to happen when they're, 20 or, and that question is always there. But I'm driving my children around, this is about 4 years ago, and my oldest son is sitting in the front, and my other son is sitting in the back with 3 of his friends. They're all probably 7 years old. And they're talking to each other, and they're saying, oh, you gay, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay. No, you're gay. Gay. Gay was the insult, right? These 3 little boys. And my 7-year-old, who's a little alpha boy, too alpha for my taste, but he says, you can't use that word as an insult. He said, my mom's friends are gay. I always used to tell him how my dissertation advisor is gay, how the woman who helped me so much, guided me university, is gay. And I would tell them, that really insults me when you say that, because gay people endure all these microaggressions. It's proven, it's recorded. There's studies about this. And these are the same microaggressions that we endure as Latinos as well. So we can identify with that, right? But they continually endure them. Maybe because I'm a Chicana, people won't say things about Chicanos when I'm in the room. But a lot of times when you're not, out of the closet, you're right there listening to people say horrible things, and it's been proven by LGBT. I just came from a conference last Sunday where Saturday and Sunday, they gave us statistics in San Francisco about how these microaggressions affect young gay people. Because they can't take that off, right? You can't just not be gay. So here's my son, and he says, no, but it was a litany. He said, we wouldn't have the house we have. My mommy wouldn't have that job. And he went on. And you guys, and the poor little boys were like, And I thought, and then the other one started, the 12-year-old, oh, you guys are terrible. And, so it starts when they're little. And I think it's important to discuss these issues with them. And that's how we make it a common thing. And I was very proud of him, but I also felt, that, it was very grand of my children to do that, because it's really hard. There's a lot of peer pressure to continue to use these terrible terms. Thank you very much.
Gabriella, thank you so much for being here with us. A funny story, really quickly. So as we were preparing everything today, get everything ready, I told her, she's actually saying Casa Latina, so yay for Casa Latina. She was really impressed with the beauty of it, and her 2 boys are there actually right now. And, I was getting things ready, and I was all calm, and doing everything, getting prepared. And then Susie came up to me, she's like, Rafa, we're ready to start, right? And I said, we are? She's like, yeah, it's 7 o'clock. And I look at my watch, and it says 6:25. So I was just like,